Konnichiwa, viewers. Welcome to another episode of Kyoto by Night, The Second Breath. Tonight, we are going in with some of the members of our city. The Gaki have been given an invitation to attend to the Court of the Four Winds. This evening, we will follow the paths that the two Boneflower Gaki in the city take to the court and their involvement in the discussions that ensues. So first off, Tomoe Yoshi, you had some messages you had sent out the previous night, and when you awaken, you get the message of the assembly at the court being called. As well, you have other individuals that you might want to check on?
Yes. The first one is my PI contact. I sent a message wanting to learn what he had learned of the situation, but asked him not to go looking for the individual personally.
Okay, he had not sent a reply email by the time that you rise. You had also gotten your retainer to try to do some research about the names you had gotten after speaking with the ghost in front of the university.
Yes.
Unfortunately, he couldn't find out. There was some mentions of tragic deaths when he went and did the research, but he couldn't find any more details about the headmaster or the specific lady that you were speaking with.
Okay. Maybe pour over the details of the tragic deaths when I return and see if there's any details to it other than there were tragic deaths. And
there was it was listed as accidental, but given the time period and how much change there has been in the country since then, specifics for minor situations like that are difficult to try to track down. He'll try to keep an eye open, like he'll still try to dig around, see if there's any records or in the archives from that time period, but he hasn't. He assumed you wanted more specifics, and he just couldn't locate anything.
Okay, and is he also following the other task I sent for him? If when he's at his desk, he's to keep that piece of paper saying I am working on the blank situation, insert the name of the, and when he's out of his desk, he's to put that in a locked drawer.
Sorry, I don't recall a second task that you had given him.
Basically, because I warded the room I was in to burn off the chi, I put the notes so that the other ghost could see that I am giving him some situation, even though he can't come in and look at what I'm doing.
Okay. No, now I gotcha. So yeah, you've got that listed so that if your otherworldly friend stops by to check on you, he won't be necessarily terribly offended by your inability to do so.
Right. Anyway, I'm also going to give me a second. I'm also going to print out the map of Kyoto where the uh, I guess you could say massacres have been happening, or the mutilations, and I'll try and put I'll put an indicator where it, if I can figure out where I was when I saw it personally.
Okay. In that case, make a wits and hun roll.
Okay.
Difficulty will be 9.
Ooh.
Because it's difficult for you to pay that much attention, close attention, and accurate attention when you're in Shadow Soul.
Okay, let me just double check. I think it's 7. Yeah, it's 7. Come on. I see a 10.
Okay, yeah, you make a mark where you're pretty sure that that's where it is. It's to you, it's not a guess because you kind of recall seeing a little bit of what's going on. So yeah,
Okay.
you can add that mark on there as well.
All right, and now now they have a new frame of reference. Does anything pop out to me?
How much time are you going to devote to trying to?
You're right. It's a little. I'll just try. I'll just keep it in mind and keep it in the back of my mind while I drive to the meeting.
Okay. So as our previously introduced Flower makes his way to the temple, we have a new arrival on the scene. Joining our venue is another member of the Song of Shadow. So, with his regular routines, and he has made contact with the local ancestors and mandarins. He has a message delivered to him, inviting him to attend to the court, as all honorable Gaki are expected to come, as there is a very important discussion that needs to be made.
Takeda Shiro meets with his great-granddaughters, who are effectively his link to the mortal world. He is a kindred of the East, after all, and though it makes him seem odd amongst other bone flowers, he takes his mortal family very, very seriously and spends a lot of time with them. So he will have spoken to Junko, the head of his gang, and informed her that he would have to travel this evening, which he is loath to do, as he doesn't like to come out of his home if he doesn't have to. It takes him away from his duties, such as tending graves and things of that nature. He would have told Shiko, who is his closest advisor, that she is to tend to things while he's gone. And his 3 Thai great-granddaughters will simply be informed that he is going, but they will probably remain silent in most affairs, as they are just business girls. Having prepared his defenses of a pistol and his sword cane, just in case, he would address his great-granddaughters with a Sawadee Ka, and they would respond with the Sawadee Ka, and getting the tie formalities out of the way, he reminds them again that they are strangers in a hostile land and to never take anything at face value. He will then walk out to his rather old-fashioned looking car in his old-fashioned looking suit, and with a very small escort of 3 motorcycle gangsters will drive to the temple where he is expected. He will meditate quietly on the trip there.
Okay. Yeah, and it definitely wouldn't be unusual for you, given your background and what court you originated in, that you would want to be prepared for God knows what as part of a court session. So yeah, arming yourself is probably second nature.
Yeah, I imagine that the courts in Thailand are a bit more energetic than the ones in Japan.
Yeah, so as you head through the city, from the nice bustling area that you lair at to more calm and serene, the temple is got a nice open garden with a nice little creek through it, and this time of year there would be some very colorful leaves and flowers amongst the trees as they are heading into autumn. And yes, various members of the city are arriving to the temple. Passage by the mortals is restricted, especially in the evenings, but you can see that there is a formal function signs that are placed at specific locations to keep any passerbys out of the area of the proper Gaki court. As both of you are entering and heading into the court, I will ask that you guys roll a charisma etiquette just for your demeanor as you are walking in and approaching.
Okay. Let's see, that'll be 5 dice for me. Yeah.
All right. So there's no faux pas by either of you as you guys enter in. The court in Kyoto is a smaller court, much smaller than those in the golden courts of Thailand. There are a few of other younger, newer to the temple, like yourselves, that are in and kind of wandering about and kind of keeping to themselves or interacting with those that they know well. You see the ancestors, the mandarins, both Kyuji Gakusha, who is just seated off to the left of where Kisaragi will be sitting, and he's just sitting very, very plain, very straight-faced. The Fumigitsu, the first Oni of the court, is standing a little ways away from where the two central figures will be seated, and is surveying the room. He's wearing a black suit with a bright red silk shirt, and is just kind of surveying as everybody enters in. He does acknowledge both of you, as he has met both of you on at least one occasion prior. At the back of the room is a Mandarin that you've heard of but had not met until today, and he is pacing the back of the room pretty much like a caged animal. The thrashing dragon Musashi is just kind of pacing back and forth like he's not comfortable being confined or having to sit still and play by the rules.
Shiro will, of course, be smoking a cigarette to calm his nerves before he goes in to the temple area. But he's not going to be so rude as to smoke into the temple. But after pocketing the stub, as he will find a place to dispose of it later, he will come in and basically he will nod to those who nod to him, but otherwise he will stay off in a shadowy corner and just stand chock still and watch. It would probably be obvious to many people that he is yin-balanced. He has that slightly otherworldly power to him, and has a tendency to stand still and not blink.
Okay. And Tomoe-san, what do you do upon arriving at the temple?
I come in and I'll nod to back at the first Oni and to the if I get the attention of the librarian ancestor by coming in, I'll nod back, not expecting anything given his demeanor, but after that I will find a quiet place to sit and meditate.
Okay.
Not meditate in the traditional sense, but gather my thoughts.
Okay. Are there any
I'll have-
thoughts in specific that are troubling you, or?
I'm just given the gathering, how many people are here?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'd say, yeah, it'd be less than a dozen at this time.
Okay. Given his work experience, he's had to adjust a couple of groups like this, but he hasn't done this in a while, so he's mostly running over he's trying to remember anything he can about the incident and the facts as he understands it, with the what the PI said, and also in case the broken mirror is brought up, he'll also run through his head once or twice.
Okay. Once the court assembles themselves, the first Oni claps his hands very loudly to get everybody's attention, and then as everyone bows as much in unison as they try, when Kisaragi walks in and then sits at the table beside Gakusha. She is wearing her formal white kimono, and her hair is also formally coiffed as she normally does in official court situations. Thank you, brothers and sisters, for arriving. Before we address these important questions and concerns that I have that need to bring to your attention, we shall begin, as tradition dictates, with the tea ceremony of introduction. And at that, each individual, starting with the elders of the court, take turns in pouring themselves and Kisaragi some tea and sharing a drink as they reintroduce themselves to her. The order that they are done, that actually Tomoe Yoshi will be the last one that introduces himself, and for sake of ease, we will have Shiro be the second last. So Shiro's turn, how does he go about, since you've actually been able to see quite a bit at this point, I'm not going to make you roll the etiquette roll because you've been able to watch like a dozen people do the exact same thing before you.
He will follow suit. He's not going to try to improvise. That would be dangerous at this point. He will do his best to act as Japanese as possible and try to play down the fact that he feels a bit off-put by having to be out and about. But she's probably perceptive and can sense such things. And he will he will be very deferential and keep his head lower than her as much as possible. And after once we get to the point of introductions, he will say, I am known as Takeda Shiro. I come as a friend to your court. I wish to help in any way possible.
And she will nod, and Takeda Shiro, we welcome you to our court. And in this time, all friends are welcome that honor and respect.
He will bow again, will nod forward as he's probably on his knees at this point, and say, thank you. I will endeavor to assimilate as well as I can to this new land that I find myself in.
Okay. And she just smiles politely and sips at the tea that you have poured for her. And then, Tomoe, your turn.
Okay. Now, given the way this tea ceremony works, am I also pouring tea for the the main elder?
Yes.
Okay. I'm basically following his suit and doing this same ritualistic fashion. And I will introduce myself. I am Tomoe Yoshi, and it is my pleasure to meet your august personage.
Tomoe Yoshi, as always, you are welcome. And I want to, in front of the court, thank you for bringing to attention the subject that we need to discuss this evening. And she'll sip the tea. And once you've gone back to your seat, brothers and sisters of the Court of Four Winds in Kyoto, we have a mysterious intruder that is drawing attention to our activities in a most inauspicious manner. Tomoe Yoshi has encountered this individual, and I think it best that we get the story straight from the eyewitness. Tomoe-san, please step forward and explain to the court about this individual that you have been following?
Thank you, revered ancestor. I had witnessed the actions of this individual. He killed and was eating a human being when I encountered him, and apparently this has happened pretty much every 13 days for about the last 2 months. I have some printouts of his pattern if any of you wish to see it. I will make it available to you. I did not address the individual, for I was alone and didn't know if I could handle the situation. So I thought it best to bring it to your to your attention. I don't know for sure that it wasn't a Yomi tainted Kuei-jin, but he didn't seem to have any intelligence that I could see.
And what brought this to your attention, Tomo-san?
While I had encountered a sort of spiritual discrepancy called a broken mirror in a mall, I asked around, and a contact of mine said that in a similar area, although not directly related to the mall or the room I'd found, was a series of deaths that have gone around. I started looking into it, thinking maybe it's connected to my broken mirror, but I'm not sure if the two events are connected.
At that, Fumitsugu will take a half step forward. You know the location of this rupture?
I encountered it once at I'll list the mall and try and give the general area with which I saw it. Because of these mutilations and what has happened recently, I have not returned. Out of character, ST, do I know that these are stationary events?
You can make an intelligence occult roll.
Okay.
Difficulty would be 8.
2 or 3. 2. I'll
You can guess whatever you want.
okay. I have not returned to the location where I found it. I do not know its current state or if it is still there.
Well, I doubt it's coincidence. If there's a rupture from hell and you happen to find a hell spawn. From what you saw, is it beyond the ability to civilize?
I do I have any knowledge of the are they called chime? Is that right?
Yeah.
Do I have any knowledge whether it's a chime or a uninitiated Kuei-jin? Do I have any knowledge of that sort of thing?
You would know that such things exist. You can make a Hun roll at difficulty 9 to see if you observed anything specific that might lead you one way or the other. But you weren't at your most lucid state when you encountered them.
I'm guessing I misremember something.
We'll stick with your initial assumption. You said you had described him as a chime, so that's how you're gonna. We'll just stick with that then.
He'll be honest about his lack of knowledge, but he'll give the indication that he'll. Anyway, I'll just go on. I not had much call to judge such things, but he did seem mostly bestial and very ravenous. I don't think there was a Hun within him.
Oh. Well, by your own admission, that would be probably beyond your understanding. Such creatures would be a vassal to an Akuma if they rose without a Hun. But he may have been not the one in control, as that happens sometimes to those who are not experienced enough with their darker side. Kisaragi will continue. Well, I appreciate you sharing what knowledge you have. Would you be able to describe what this individual looked like?
Well, would I be able to?
You can make another Hun roll, difficulty 9.
Okay, let's hope so. I have a success.
Okay. He was tall and crouched.
Oh, God.
And he was blood-soaked and eating.
Can I make an intelligence occult roll or anything to see if this means anything to me?
Yes,
okay.
You can.
Okay.
I'll reiterate that, trying my best not to seem stupid. Given his height and the fact he was crouching, and the amount of gore he was covered in, it was hard to differentiate anything but his size.
So, I can see what you rolled there, Matt. So, from his descriptions and what you're kind of getting out of the conversation, sounds like that this individual perhaps had recently risen, or was in either Shadow Soul or Fire Soul. He possibly could have been in Frenzy. Given his description that he didn't seem to have a Hun, and the fact that he was behaving bestially and feasting at the time.
But not necessarily Shime.
Not necessarily. So he could be Shime, like if he was recently risen, but with the length of time that these, and the fact that they've just been periodic killing and not like a day after day after day slaughter fest, it's a little unlikely.
Okay. Shiro will just continue to listen unless he's addressed.
Okay. Musashi at this point will practically leap from the back of the room as he crosses over to get closer to Yoshi. How far did you follow him? Where is he layering at? What did he smell like? Come on.
Okay.
Your soul is cold, but you still notice such things, do you not?
Shiro will raise an eyebrow. Perhaps these Japanese vampires are not quite as different from the ones he's used to.
Well, given the fact I was alone and didn't wish to be spotted and be undone before getting this information to you, I did not follow him. Given his smell, I'm pretty sure the ST will tell me to roll a Hun to see if I remember his smell.
No, you weren't. You didn't have heightened senses on at the time, so.
Okay.
It smelled like blood and yuck.
He will get real close up in your face and take a real deep sniff of you. There's something you're not telling us. What are you holding back? Why did you not follow him? Why can you not tell us what he looked like?
Shiro will almost theatrically cock his head in a very, very dramatic kind of theatrical manner.
Tomoe Yoshi will think to himself of the proper way to explain this. As I had alluded to the first Oni when I met with him, I was not myself when I found this individual. I am going by my best recollections of the time.
Then what of your other self? Is he not observant? Does he not pay attention? Why is he not helpful?
He is spiteful.
He'll kind of stalk off to the side and go back to circling at the back of the room. Kisaragi will kind of survey the room to see if anybody else has any questions or anything that they want to add to this.
Shiro will uncock his head slightly and look towards her, almost in a robotic mechanical manner, staring deeply at her. He looks as if he wants a turn to speak, but he has nothing to add to this particular conversation. If he can convey it with his eyes. He is simply looking passive.
Okay. Very well. So we don't know much of this intruder other than the fact that he is not minding his debt kills. He is tall and prone to frenzy and violence. Is that summary of your discourse, Tomoe-kun?
Yes.
Very well. At this point, we don't want to assume the worst. So, given the area that Tomoe has discovered that this individual is preying at, any forays into that area, I suggest that you be cautious and be alert. We want to bring this individual in for either questioning or civilizing, dependent upon what his actual status is. Be careful talking with it in case somebody is already holding onto his leash.
Shiro will bow slightly as if he has something to say.
Yes, Takeda-san.
I would ask of Tomoe-san, are there any patterns or similarities in the individuals that this being has killed or encountered?
Given the fact that the most august ancestor brought up, if none of the ancestors here have covered up these deaths and told the police to keep it quiet, I'm starting to think that maybe someone else did, because I was not able to receive any sort of details as to what these bodies may have had in common, other than they seem to have been mauled.
They were not all female or male or follow any pattern that is that obvious.
Jacob, I'm trying to recollect.
They were female victims.
Okay. All that I was told was they were female victims. Of course, this is a start, but it isn't a very specific start.
Kisaragi will clear her throat slightly, and if they are the missing women or remains that I am thinking of, then I have been involved in ensuring that this did not come back to us. I was not certain, with several new individuals moving into my prefecture, as well as some that are just finishing their ray and joining our court, that I could not rule out until we could determine who was behind it, that it was not somebody who was acting rudely in looking after themselves.
Shiro will once again bow reverentially to the ancestor as if he had something to say.
Yes, Takeda-san?
I humbly ask permission to investigate this matter, as I have cultivated a certain talent in being able to speak with the dead. Perhaps one of these victims lingers on, as is normal in case of such a unauspicious death. Perhaps at their family homes or at the scene of the murders, they might linger. I would humbly offer my services to investigate.
It's an excellent idea, Takeda-san. Tomoe will be able to provide what information that he has gathered, and the rest of the court will stay aware and keep our eyes open. Tomoe Yoshi, would you be able to, when would you estimate we may see another strike if this thing is holding to a specific pattern?
And going back into my clock, given the last time I saw it was 3-4 nights.
Yeah, so you got just over a week.
Yes. Given it was 4 days ago, that would lead about 9 days if the 13-day cycle holds.
Very well then. We shall increase our observations at that time. In the meantime, those of us who can commune will see if there's other information that we can discover that would be of use to the two of you in this. In the meantime, as well, Tomoe Yoshi, I believe that it sounds like you need a little bit more assistance in maintaining a healthy relationship within yourself. I am assigning you to do more training with Fumitsugu in being able to understand both aspects of your personality. We could have perhaps gathered more information if things went a little bit more smoother. Would you not agree?
Yes, it's true. Sorry, I have lost track of myself.
Behind you, the suited gentleman, you can hear chuckle. I'll help you keep the reins on, one way or the other. I would also suggest that you follow up with this rupture, this broken mirror that you say you stumbled upon. Perhaps get a second opinion as to what its nature is, because it could be linked to this. If they are in proximity, there is no such thing as coincidences, just auspicious or inauspicious events.
And yeah, sorry. Tomi will bow, say, I will take that to heart.
And I look forward to spending some quality time with you, Yoshi. And he'll smile at you again. Kisaragi will gesture to get attention back towards her. Is there any other pressing events for the court, as I think having an unknown intruder and a potential invasion of Yomi is pretty serious enough for us to ensure that we are on guard for and prepared for?
Shiro will bow as if he has something to say. Again.
Takeda-san?
He will rise slowly and mechanically, and he will present himself to the ancestor, taking out a small, artistically carved bone, assuming I could have had such a thing. And it'll be a rib bone, a human rib bone, but it will be artistically carved with pictures of the Golden Court. He will ceremoniously hand it to the revered ancestor. I bring a gift from the lands I have traveled, and an offer to all under your watchful eye.
She will nod and accept the gift.
The lands of Southeast Asia are growing quickly, and there are many who would reap the rewards of their labor. I come offering the wares and pleasures of the Golden Courts. As I have family there and contacts, I would offer them to the Gaki of Kyoto.
Very well. My court is free to make use of such things. I've been to the Golden Courts many, many years ago. I do not know if there's anything more that I specifically would need, but you never know. This is very interesting times that we are living in.
He cocks his head to the side just a bit and says, I do have a request of your august personage.
Yes.
As I am sure you are aware, I have taken residence in the Gion district. There is a graveyard near one of my homes. I asked to be able to be given the honor of tending it.
She will look over to the Kyuji on her side, who just doesn't seem to actually respond, because he is fairly stoic for the most part, and then she will turn back, and that is acceptable terms. The tending to the ancestors and restless spirits in that district shall be your responsibility.
Hi, thank you. And then he will back away. He does the rather odd-looking tie back pedal on his knees, so as not to put his back to his ancestor, and he will shuffle thusly to the perimeter of the area, indicating that he is done with his business, sitting in the shadows.
There's a few other similar type introductions and requests from the other individuals that have attended, which are not here right now. So if this is something that might be in a part 2 to this scene, was there anything else that Yoshi wanted to bring to anyone's attention or make a request of?
No, not this time.
Okay. So after some more formalized rituals of addressing and making requests and favors and prestigitation, and then saying farewell and ending the official court session, you guys are free to mill about within the temple or on the grounds or within the city.
Shiro will, as he is probably hankering for a cigarette at this point, he will go out to the front of the temple outside the wall and simply stand smoking a cigarette waiting for Tomoe to leave.
Given the several copies, I will hand each of the. I will offer one to each of the ancestors before I take my leave. Unless they would have asked for them earlier.
No, nobody. You guys are free to interact. Fumigetsu would ensure to set a time that he would expect you to come back to his home for further training.
Okay. And
he's not going to make any more demands than that upon you this evening.
Okay. And it's the first Oni, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
The one who's already helped you out once. So now he gets to help you out again.
Yes.
I'm sure he's so happy.
What of a chance to try to train a new person in being able to understand their Po? Yeah, actually, it might be a little bit of fun for him. But yeah, so other than that, then yeah, you're free to Tomoe can go there. A few individuals are going to ask to check the maps and whatnot so that they can kind of get an idea of whereabouts in the city these events have been in. Musashi just comes over, he looks at the map, kind of snorts a little bit, and then scampers off into the night. He doesn't really mill about to chat too much.
Okay. I'm going to guess I already picked up one. He's a thrashing dragon. Do I pick up on anything else? I mean, I don't have much medical, but I am still a learned individual. Is he just very feral in his mindset, or does he seem to be affected in some way?
You can make a perception medicine roll if you want.
Okay, so just perception. I really need to get medicine. I've been meaning to.
Okay, so in that case, make a perception occult roll, and this will be difficulty 9.
Okay, so 3 and 2. No, wait, is it 3? Perception, right?
Yeah.
Alright. Yep, that's right. You said diff 9, right? So 1 success.
He he does. He's very intense, and his behavior is feral. But there's not really much more than that you're going to be able to really pick out. You can tell just from some of the marks on him that he looks like he's done some slight body modifications to himself. His nose, as you're thinking about it, when he got in close to sniff you, it's like as he was drawing in close, his nose kind of seemed to reform a little bit, and as he kind of peered at you closely, the irises in his eyes kind of shifted more similar to what you would see in an animal than a human.
That's an interesting ability.
And because you had mentioned that you wanted to keep this in mind when you were at the court, the not Musashi, but the other three ancestors all appear to have a dragon tear at different stages of formation.
Thank you for that bit of information. Alright, unless anyone wants a specific piece of paper or asks me any questions about it, I guess I'll take my leave now.
Okay.
And given I didn't see, oh dear God, I can't remember his name. Matt, could you please give me your name again?
Takeda is his family name. Shiro is his given name.
All right, I'm just gonna stick with Takeda at this moment. Since I didn't see Takeda and he didn't come up for me with the information, I'll assume I see him before I exit. If not, maybe I'll have to go visit his. I'll have to visit his shop, but I'll leave that up to fate.
He's basically standing next to an old 1970s Cadillac, smoking a cigarette, looking very different than he did in court. I don't know if you'd call it relaxed, but he looks more normal anyway. He's not moving mechanically. And he takes his cigarette and stubs it out on the side of his cigarette, metal cigarette case, and wipes it with a handkerchief, puts it in his pocket, nods towards you. Tomoe-san, if I may address you as such.
Please, do. And if I may, by the same token, I will address you as... And I'm so sorry, Matt, I forgot it again. What was it again?
Takeda is his given name, Shiro is his... Takeda is his family name, Shiro is his given name.
Thank you. Thank you, Jacob, for writing it down. Yes, and I will call you Takeda.
Very well. The areas where the dead were found, you know of them or not?
He'll bring out this piece of paper. As you can see, they are in these locations. I have been trying to figure out where the best place a being like this might hide in this general area between them.
He will look at the paper, frown a bit, pull out another cigarette, light it, kind of absent-mindedly. It'll dangle out of his mouth as he speaks a bit. Notice his mannerisms are rather casual for Um, he looks at Tomoe. Do you have dealings with the dead?
Mm.
More so than usual.
I have taken up the acquaintanceship with. I've spoken to 3 spirits just recently. Um, if you want to speak of these experiences, I'm not adverse. Uh, I will give you varying details if you're interested.
Well, as they pertain to this business, of course.
Oh,
The
unfortunately, no. I was so busy trying to figure out where he may be, I did not make the connection you did that these people may have been left in a sort of limbo.
when was the last kill?
As I said, 4 days ago.
4 days ago. But do you not know the name of the woman who was killed?
No, as the ancestor said, she has, because we don't know uh, who this individual was at the time, she has been covering up uh, pretty much all information about them. My contact said that she covered it up so well that when a officer tried to make a connection between them, he was ordered to close the case and uh, not bring any more attention to it, or else he would be uh, let go or reassigned.
Shiro actually smiles at that. Well then, it's nice to know that me and the ancestor share a common modus operandi. That the death sites will have to do for now. We will, if you like, coordinate our efforts. I will give you my. He looks a little bit flustered for a moment and says, "Mobile cell phone number."
Yes, thank you, and I will give you mine. He'll take out his phone and
Shiro looks over at one of the gangsters who's with him. You will notice they're all women, and a rather gaudily, hairstyled young girl with a black leather jacket comes up. Shiro kind of waves her over with a finger, and she gives him she pulls out a notepad, and he says, "Please give it to her."
he'll give her his number, and then, as I understand, in Japan they usually reciprocate right back. So he'll wait expectantly.
He will take out his business card and give it to you with both hands, with respect. It is a very plain business card, not expensive at all, just very plain, and it has TS and a phone number.
Okay, and trying to be respectful, he'll try and take it from him with as much respect as he's giving it.
Yeah, 2 hands and a bow is usually pretty common.
Okay.
So,
He'll mime it.
sure. If you have an actual business card, he'll do the same. Otherwise, he'll let the girl write down your number.
Oh, okay.
It's a business thing in Japan. It's like a real quirky business thing that they do. Business cards are like a symbol of respect.
Jacob, I hadn't thought about this. Given my business background, would it be would it be safe to say I might have retained this habit?
Yeah, if you use the same mobile, you probably still have the same. You probably still have the business cards too.
Hmm. I don't think my character would have used the same number, but he probably would have gotten new cards just so he could give it to new Kuei-jin. So yeah, it'll bring it out. He basically has the name Tomi Y and the number.
Okay.
And it also has a secure email address.
Okay. Shiro will take it with both hands in a bow and read it in interest, as is customary and polite, and then he will put it into his coat pocket, and he will say, "Well then, I look forward to working with you in the future, but it sounds like you have other more pressing engagements to take care of. Allow me to," and he smiles here, and it is a genuinely charming smile. "Allow me to take up this investigation for you."
Hmm. I would prefer, given that the broken mirror may have something to do with this investigation, and I cannot let go of what I saw. I wouldn't say that it haunts me, more so it intrigues me. I humbly ask that, if time allows, that you call on me for help in this investigation.
He smiles broadly. Of course, of course. I would have it no other way. But the First Oni has business with you, and I would not seek to take your attention away from your studies. But I will inform you as to what I find out from the dead.
Hmm. And given his was it said what Dharma he was from, or is that sort of left for everyone to assume? Uh,
Who?
I was saying, did anyone actually say what dharmas they're part of, or was that part of basically left to assumption?
Neither of you did with your introductions, so I'm going to assume that that wasn't part of the formal introductions.
Okay.
Um, the
However, I'm definitely yin balanced, and I'm speaking of talking with the dead, so it's a pretty fair guess. However, that's not always the case. I mean, I could be a crane,
Yeah,
centipede.
I was gonna say.
the ancestors and the mandarins you would know, so you would know that that Kisaragi is a crane, Gakusha is a bone flower, Fumigitsu is a devil tiger, and Musashi is a thrashing dragon.
Okay.
Now all they need
Um,
is have the whole trifecta.
Yeah.
Wow. Trifecta.
I was anyway. I'll turn to the Takeda and say, I don't wish to make an assumption, but given what you've said and how you how you hold yourself, may I
His head
ask,
slightly and raises an eyebrow.
um, are we both on the same dharmic path?
As I do not know your path, I wouldn't know.
I meant to say, are you also a bone flower?
He said, he pauses and says, "Did my interest in the dead give away?" Yes, I follow the Song of Shadow at this time, though I give respect to all dharmas.
Hmm. I do try to not let what I've been told by my teachers cloud my judgment.
Oh, but your teachers give you valuable insight. While I would never refer to a teaching as clouding myself, I would, at the same time, seek to investigate my own path. So I believe there's wisdom in what you say.
Yes, I believe there is a tenet in our path that says to explore knowledge to its fullest and not take what we're given.
Which is why I have so humbly, and he smiles broadly again. The smile doesn't really touch his eyes that well. He says, and that's why I've humbly offered myself to investigate this matter out of concern for the entirety of the city of Kyoto and beyond, and through no amount of personal gain at all.
Anyway, I was going to guess what I can't remember. Anyway, he will bow his head and say, I hope to hear from you in a day or two. I will give a bit of advice. I have dealt with someone, of course it was a much older spirit, who had tragically died. She seemed quite agitated when I asked her about the event. I'm not sure whether it is like this at all times, and I'd offer you to learn it for yourself. But beware.
If there is a troubled spirit, I would be happy to attempt to guide her on to the next, into her journeys. Yes, of course I would be interested. You see an almost excited glint in his eyes.
I mostly brought it up to bring forth these spirits may be similarly unhappy and distressed.
He nods and
Keep
he says,
that in mind.
many of the dead, and he gives you a very intense stare when he says this, they scream for an eternity at what they have lost, not really realizing they can return and gain so much more. He smiles again suddenly and says, it is my hope that no others go to that realm, and I attempt to guide them to a satisfactory rebirth. So, I am here to learn and to teach. So please, put me in contact with this unhappy spirit, and we'll see if we cannot please her in some way. Or perhaps, and one must be careful, he says, raising a finger, perhaps you dealt with a Yomi spirit or a Yin spirit. They can often be confused for the beings that have passed on. One must be careful when talking with those of a dead nature, he says, with a slight chuckle.
I will keep that in mind. I went over several possibilities. It seems, and the basis in fact, it seems very tragic nonetheless.
is never a tragedy. It's just another step in one's path. Unfortunately, so many cling to attachments that they consider it a tragedy. If I may, and I do not wish to impose upon your own path of education, but I found it enlightening to think of, to remove the idea of tragedy from death. Even a violent or an unhappy death can be a learning experience. We must help the dead to understand that their death is not a tragedy when there are so many more lives ahead of them, that perhaps the next one will be better. Like a wife that has been unfaithful. You cast off the old, and you look to the new. You lament for what you have lost, but you replace it with something that has better merit.
There is wisdom in what you say.
Well, if there's nothing else. And the smile very quickly drops from his face. I have business. And to you.
And to you.
He bows deeply, and he will get into his Cadillac, lighting another cigarette. That's 3 you've seen him smoke just in this scene. And he will indicate to his motorcycle leather-clad minions to head out, and they will all drive away. The Cadillac making almost no sound, and the motorcycles making way too much sound as they drive off.
Tomoe will think to himself, there are many interesting equations in this city. And he'll go to his little
On your way back, Tomoe, would you mind making a perception drive roll?
Perception drive roll. Oh, dear Lord.
Okay, never mind. And yeah, you go back to your haven, and we can end the scene there. So thank you for those that have watched, and glad to see that we've got another potential ally introduced to Tomoe, and may the two flowers find their way and get successful in their investigations. And with that, we say good night and sayonara.